Hi everyone. Okay, in this video I'm going to talk a bit about awareness and why awareness is king. In other words, why is awareness so important? And that's what we're going to address in this video. So basically I want to start by just saying that we're all making choices. Every single moment of the day we are making a choice. And just to put it simply, every choice is either responding or reacting. And I'll be talking about that in more detail in another video, but essentially we either respond or react in every single moment, and we have a choice over that. And this is irrespective of our circumstances. So the reason why I want to talk about awareness is because often we can find ourselves just repeating the same choices again and again and again. And basically, in psychology, we call that a pattern of behavior. But it can also be a train of thought even. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a particular behavior. It can just be the way that you think. It's something that you always think that way, and that's just how it is. And these things will come from our environment. Typically the family environment that we grow up into, it could be at school, but essentially as little kids we pick things up and we decide, yep, I'm going to take that on, or I'm going to take that on, because for whatever reason we think that it works, which it never does, but that's another story. So in terms of choices that we make, the only defense that we have against making the same old errors or the same old choices that don't actually work is awareness. And so once we have awareness with something, then we actually do have a choice. But I'll just backtrack a little bit. So we do make choices every day, but if we've been making the same choice again and again and again, essentially it's like it becomes so familiar to make that choice that it becomes our norm. And it's almost like we forget that we have a choice because it's become so normal to make that particular choice. So I'll give you an example. So there's lots and lots of people in the world, and I used to be this way too, that use anger as their way of getting through life. And I will be doing a video on anger specifically, just to unpack it in terms of why we use it. In other words, why we use that particular emotion sometimes in life. But for some people, the anger in the way that they go about using their life with anger, because in a nutshell, it's about protection and keeping people out. And it's a way that we think we can protect our hurts by being angry because it gets people to back off. But as I say, I'll talk about it in far more detail in another video. So the thing though is that if we've been used to doing that for a very long time, then it's just like, no, that's just me. And we can even replace the word anger with something like passion. And we can think that we're just a passionate person. And there are particular cultures where that's a cultural thing even, where it's just considered passionate people. But it's actually not. It's actually just really ingrained anger that's used as a form of protection to get through life. So this is where awareness comes into it, because awareness comes to town and says, okay, so that's your thing, and that's something that you consider is you, perhaps, or the truth in terms of how you naturally are. But what if it's not the truth? Like, what if that is actually just protection? And what if that's something that you learned somewhere along the way because you saw it somewhere around you, perhaps when you were little, and you thought, okay, I can get through life using that. And so that's how we've got to look at it. And awareness comes to town and says, that's not you. You're not naturally angry. You weren't born that way. You didn't come out that way. And so that's just something you've taken on, and that's how you use to get through life. But it's actually not the truth of who you are naturally. And, if you can imagine picking someone up who's like super angry in that moment, just yelling and screaming or whatever it might be, or just internally very, very angry. And you place that person in the middle of a forest, like a deep forest, with no one else there, just them alone. I can guarantee you that that person will eventually come out of anger because of the quality that nature offers and the reflection that it brings that person, they will not be able to hold being in anger. Yeah, they're not going to walk past a tree and get angry at a tree. Yeah, so we need to understand that our environment does play a part, and it can be very, very supportive, and at the same time not so supportive. And so awareness brings us back to the fact that we are making choices and that we are responsible for the choices that we make. And sometimes we need to be reminded of that awareness so that we can remember that we do have a choice that we can make, and not just think that this is my lot in life, this is what I've always done, this is my familiar road, and it never changes. So I'll talk more about awareness in later videos, and it's actually going to be a theme that runs through all of these videos, but I wanted to just introduce it here today.